The massive silver ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. It moved without sound, defying everything humans understood about physics. People across Washington, D.C. stopped and stared upward, their phones recording the moment that would forever change human history. John Miller was having a normal Tuesday at the State Department when the emergency alert blared through the building. At 42, with a receding hairline and perpetually tired eyes, John had spent 15 years handling minor diplomatic incidents with small European nations. Nothing in his career had prepared him for this. "Miller, get in here now," called Deputy Secretary Harrison from his office doorway. John grabbed his notepad and hurried over, noticing the unusual number of military personnel rushing through the hallways. Inside the conference room, faces were pale as everyone watched the wall-mounted screens. The alien ship, now hovering 300 feet above the National Mall, was at least 2 football fields long. Smaller craft were emerging from its sides. "They're requesting communication," said General Laura Peters, her voice steady despite the situation, "and they're broadcasting in perfect English." The president appeared on screen from the White House bunker. "What do we know so far?" "They call themselves the Galactic Council," Harrison replied. "A federation of spacefaring species. They're requesting formal diplomatic meetings to begin within the hour." The president looked around the virtual room. "We need someone with diplomatic experience, but not too high profile. Someone expendable if this goes badly." All eyes turned to John. 2 hours later, John Miller stood at the base of the Washington Monument, surrounded by Secret Service agents and military personnel. He wore his best suit and carried a simple leather portfolio containing nothing but a pad of paper and 3 pens. His hands were shaking. A beam of blue light touched down 30 feet away, and 3 figures materialized. The tallest stood nearly 7 feet high, with iridescent blue-green skin that seemed to shimmer like fish scales. Its companion was shorter, stocky, and gray with 4 arms and eyes that rotated independently. The third was almost human-looking, except for its paper-white skin and completely black eyes. "I am High Counselor Skirtix of the Arcturian Dominion," said the tall blue being in perfect, unaccented English, "senior representative of the Galactic Council. You may address me as Counselor." John stepped forward. "John Miller, United States Department of State, representing Earth during this initial contact." The alien made a gesture that might have been a bow. "Your planet has reached a developmental stage where official contact is permitted under Council protocols. We have been observing your progress for some time." John felt a chill despite the warm day. "How long is some time, Counselor?" "Your species has been in our records for approximately 6,000 of your years," replied Skirtix. "Active monitoring began during your 18th century. The news crews at the perimeter captured every word. John knew billions were watching worldwide." "And the purpose of this visit?" John asked. "To offer Earth membership in the Galactic Council as a protected species," said Skirtix. "This is a great honor. Only 17% of discovered intelligent species qualify for protection." "And what does this protection entail?" The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. "Resource allocation, cultural preservation, technological guidance, and certain necessary restrictions to ensure your species develops along appropriate lines." "Restrictions?" John questioned, his diplomatic training kicking in despite his fear. "Minor limitations only. Restricted expansion beyond your solar system for 500 years. Oversight of certain technological developments. Standard protection protocols." John noted how the word protection kept appearing. It reminded him uncomfortably of old mafia movies. "We bring gift technology as demonstration of council benefits," said the 4-armed gray alien, stepping forward with a small floating silver sphere. The world watched as humanity received its first alien gift. No one knew that scattered across the globe, specialized receivers were picking up secondary transmissions from the alien ships. Communications that spoke not of protection, but of resource assessment, military capabilities, and potential resistance scenarios. In a small observatory in Chile, An astrophysicist named Catherine Russell noticed strange readings that no one else would catch until it was almost too late. Catherine Russell rubbed her tired eyes and took another sip of cold coffee. For 3 days since the aliens arrived, she had barely left the observatory in the Chilean mountains. While the world watched official meetings between human leaders and the Galactic Council representatives, Catherine noticed something no one else had. The large telescope array picked up unusual signals from the edge of the solar system. More alien ships were waiting there, far more than the few that came to Earth. Catherine counted at least 30 vessels, all much larger than the diplomatic ship in Washington. "This doesn't make sense," she muttered, comparing data on her screens. The official broadcasts said the aliens came in peace, but peaceful visitors didn't bring hidden fleets. Catherine was 36, with curly brown hair usually tied back in a messy ponytail. Her colleagues often described her as brilliant but stubborn. Right now, those qualities were driving her to look deeper when others had accepted the aliens at their word. She found something else strange in the data. The observatory's deep space scans showed energy signatures that matched exactly with unexplained signals they had detected over the past 50 years. The aliens hadn't just arrived. They had been watching Earth for decades. Catherine picked up her phone and called the one person she knew would listen. Alan Prescott answered on the third ring. "Kathy, it's 4 in the morning here. The aliens are lying to us, Alan," she said without greeting. "I have proof." Alan was silent for a moment. 6 years ago, he had left astronomy to work for a government research agency. Their relationship had ended then too, but they remained friends. "Tell me," he said finally. Catherine sent her data files while explaining what she found. She also shared her newest discovery, evidence that several major human technological breakthroughs had been mysteriously delayed over the past century. "Every time we get close to a major advancement in space travel or energy production, key scientists die, labs have accidents, or funding gets cut," she explained. "I found 26 examples. It's not random, Alan. Someone has been making sure we don't develop too quickly." "That's a serious claim," Alan said, but she could hear him typing, reviewing her evidence. "There's more," Catherine continued. "I analyzed the mineral composition of the small craft they landed. It contains elements we've been told are extremely rare, but my readings show they should be common on asteroids in our own solar system. I think they want our resources." Helen was quiet again before saying, "I need to make some calls. Do not share this with anyone else." 2 hours later, Catherine's computer screen suddenly filled with classified files. Ellen had sent her government documents showing that several countries had already detected unusual activities from the alien vessels. They were scanning Earth's resources, especially rare minerals and water. "I'm sending someone to bring you to Washington." Ellen's message read, "Pack light. Tell no one." Before Catherine could reply, her computer screen flashed with an alert. A small spacecraft was approaching the observatory. It wasn't from Earth. Catherine quickly downloaded everything to a small drive and deleted the files from the main system. She grabbed her backpack and stuffed in clothes, the drive, and her old paper notebooks. As she ran toward the back exit, she heard the observatory's main door open. Voices speaking in an odd, clicking language echoed through the hallways. She slipped out the emergency exit into the cold mountain night. Her old truck started with a roar that seemed too loud in the quiet darkness. As Catherine drove down the winding mountain road, she saw strange lights hovering over the observatory in her rearview mirror. She drove faster, her mind racing with what she had discovered. The Galactic Council wasn't offering protection. They were planning a takeover. And somehow, she needed to convince world leaders before it was too late. The United Nations Security Council room was filled with tension. World leaders had gathered in secret, away from the watchful eyes of the alien visitors. Guards stood at every door, and all electronic devices had been banned from the room. Catherine Russell stood at the front, next to Alan Prescott. She had not slept in 30 hours. After escaping the observatory, She had been flown to New York on a military jet that zigzagged across the sky to avoid detection. "The evidence is clear," Catherine said, pointing to the papers spread across the table. "The Galactic Council is not here to help us. They want our resources and plan to keep us trapped in our solar system." The Russian representative leaned forward. "Why would such advanced beings need Earth's resources? Surely they can find what they need elsewhere." Ellen stepped forward. "Our analysis suggests they've been doing this for thousands of years. They find developing worlds, limit their growth, and harvest their resources. It's more efficient than mining asteroids or uninhabited planets." The room erupted in angry voices. Some believed Catherine's evidence, while others thought accepting the aliens' offer was still the safest choice. "We cannot fight beings who cross the stars," said the French president. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours. But if we accept their terms, we will never develop our own technology," argued the Indian representative. "We become pets, not partners." For 3 hours, the debate raged. The Chinese leader suggested pretending to accept while secretly building weapons. The British Prime Minister warned that the aliens would detect any deception. Then Susan Norton, the representative from New Zealand, stood up. She was a small woman with gray hair who rarely spoke at these meetings. "We're thinking about this all wrong," she said in her quiet voice. The room fell silent. "We're assuming we must either surrender or fight. But there's a third option." She walked to the center of the room. Throughout human history, when faced with stronger powers, some cultures survived by bowing down. Others fought and died. But the ones that truly thrived were those who refused to accept unfair terms and demanded respect. Susan looked around the room. "We should reject their offer, but not declare war. We should demand full membership in their council with equal rights. No protection status. No restrictions." Murmurs filled the room. What Susan suggested was bold. Perhaps too bold. "They'll attack us," said the German chancellor. "Perhaps," Susan admitted, "but Catherine's evidence shows they've been limiting our progress for centuries. Even so, we developed faster than they expected. That suggests we have potential they fear." The Secretary General called for a vote. The decision would need full agreement, something almost never achieved in world politics. To everyone's surprise, the vote was unanimous. Humanity would reject the Council's offer and demand equal standing. After the meeting, John Miller was called in. As the initial contact person, he would deliver humanity's response. "Are you sure about this?" John asked the Secretary General as they walked down the hall. "I'm not a high-ranking diplomat." "That's exactly why it must be you," the Secretary General replied. "You're the face they know, and your position shows we're not treating this as a crisis. It sends a message that we are confident in our decision." John nodded, though his stomach twisted with fear. "When do I tell them?" "Tomorrow morning. We need time to move certain assets and prepare for possible consequences." That night, military bases across the world quietly went on high alert. Nuclear submarines slipped away from their docks to hidden positions at sea. Space telescopes were repositioned to watch the alien ships. As dawn broke over Washington, D.C., John Miller put on his best suit and prepared to deliver the most important message in human history. In his pocket was a simple note with humanity's response. No protection status, equal membership, or nothing. The morning sun cast long shadows across the National Mall as John Miller approached the alien ship. Unlike the first meeting, today there were no crowds of onlookers. The area had been cleared for half a mile in every direction, with only essential personnel present. John walked with his shoulders back and his head high, though inside he felt like running away. 2 Secret Service agents walked 5 steps behind him. In his briefcase was a single sheet of paper with Earth's official response. At the base of the ship, a beam of light appeared, and the 3 alien representatives materialized. High Counselor Skirtix stepped forward. "Representative Miller," the tall blue alien said, "we trust your leaders have considered our generous offer." John took a deep breath. "They have, Counselor. I bring Earth's official response." He opened his briefcase and removed the document. The paper felt heavy in his hands. The nations of Earth appreciate the Galactic Council's offer of protected status. John began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. However, we must respectfully decline this designation. The aliens remained still, but John noticed the four-armed gray being's eyes rotating faster. Instead, John continued, Earth requests full membership in the Galactic Council with equal rights and privileges as founding members. No restrictions on our development or expansion. No oversight of our technology. Equal standing or no agreement. For several seconds, there was complete silence. Then Skirtix made a strange clicking sound that John couldn't interpret. There appears to be a misunderstanding, the alien said, its voice no longer smooth but slightly higher pitched. Protected status is not optional. It is the only category available to species at your development stage. John stood his ground. We understand your system, Counselor. We simply reject it. Earth will not accept second-class status in any form. The third alien, the white-skinned one who had not spoken before, stepped forward. No species has ever rejected protection status. It is not done. Humans do many things that are not done, John replied. It's one of our defining characteristics. Skirtix's skin changed color slightly, darkening to a deeper blue. You do not understand the consequences of your decision. The Council has protocols for dealing with difficult species. John felt cold fear run down his spine, but he kept his expression neutral. Are you threatening Earth, Counselor? Simply stating facts, the alien replied. Without Council protection, your world would be open to influences you cannot comprehend. We'll take our chances, John said. Equal membership or nothing. That is Earth's final position. The aliens conferred among themselves in a series of clicks and whistles. John waited, aware that cameras hidden in nearby buildings were recording everything. Finally, Skirtix turned back to John. We will convey your unusual response to the full Council. This is most irregular. We will require time for consultation. Of course, John said. How much time do you need? We will return to our main vessel, the alien said. You will have the Council's response within one of your Earth days. With that, the three aliens disappeared in the same beam of light that had brought them. John released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. As he walked back to the waiting car, his phone buzzed with a message from Alan Prescott. Space Command reports all alien ships near Washington are moving away from Earth, but they're not leaving the solar system. They're gathering near Mars. 3 hours later, Catherine Russell sat in the Pentagon's main briefing room with Alan and military leaders from a dozen countries. Satellite images showed 25 large alien ships now in orbit around Mars, with more arriving. They're preparing for something, Catherine said, pointing to energy readings from the alien fleet. This isn't a diplomatic response. This looks like a war council. Admiral Evelyn Winters, the highest-ranking naval officer in the room, stood up. Then we better start preparing too. We have 24 hours before they make their move. As military forces around the world went on high alert, John Miller watched the alien ships on radar. The Pentagon war room buzzed with activity. Maps and screens covered every wall, showing positions of ships, troops, and aircraft around the world. In the center of the room, Admiral Evelyn Winters leaned over a glowing table display. At 58, with short gray hair and a face lined from years at sea, Winters had never expected to command Earth's first space defense. Yet here she was, leading a hastily assembled global military alliance. The Chinese and Russian space weapons are being moved into position, reported a young officer. The Europeans have activated their satellite defense grid. Winters nodded. And our new weapons. The prototypes are being loaded onto our 3 space-capable vehicles now. We'll have them in orbit within 6 hours. It wasn't much against an alien fleet, but it was all they had. The world's nations had set aside decades of distrust to work together against this common threat. Meanwhile, in a secure lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Catherine Russell and Alan Prescott worked with a team of scientists from 7 countries. They had been given pieces of alien technology collected from the landing site and small fragments recovered from previous suspected alien crashes. "Look at this power source," Catherine said, pointing to a small crystal in the alien device. "It produces energy in a way I've never seen before." Alan examined it under a microscope. "The atomic structure is shifting constantly. It's like it's pulling energy from somewhere else." A scientist from Japan called them over to his computer. "I found something in the communications device. The aliens use frequencies we've never explored. But the strange thing is, human bodies naturally produce faint signals in these same ranges." Catherine's eyes widened. "That might explain why they've been so interested in us specifically. Maybe there's something unique about human biology." They worked through the night, making breakthrough after breakthrough. By morning, they had confirmed something extraordinary. Human brains produced electrical patterns similar to the aliens' technology. Catherine called Admiral Winters directly. "We can use this. Their weapons and shields operate on principles that interact with consciousness. We think humans might be able to disrupt their systems just by being near them." "You're saying we're naturally jamming equipment to them?" Winters asked. "Something like that," Catherine replied. "And if we amplify those natural frequencies, we might have a weapon." Winters finished. "Get me a prototype." Across the world, preparations continued. Old missile silos were reopened. Civilians were moved to underground shelters. Soldiers said goodbye to their families. John Miller had been given a new role, spokesman for Earth's unified response. He stood before cameras in the United Nations building, explaining the situation to a frightened world. "We did not choose this conflict," he said, his voice calm despite his fear. "We simply asked to be treated as equals. If the Galactic Council cannot accept that, then we must be prepared to defend our right to determine our own future." As he spoke, the alien fleet moved from Mars toward Earth. 50 ships now, large enough to be seen through home telescopes. People everywhere looked up at the night sky with fear. In orbit, the first of Earth's defensive satellites took position. They were few and primitive compared to the alien armada, but they represented humanity's refusal to surrender. Admiral Winters addressed the combined military forces from her command center. Her image was broadcast to ships, bases, and troops worldwide. "For thousands of years, humans have fought each other over land, resources, and ideas," she said. "Today, we fight together for the first time, not just for our nations or beliefs, but for our right to exist freely in this universe." She looked at the screens showing the approaching alien fleet. "They think we'll back down when we see their full strength. They think we'll accept their terms when faced with their power. They don't understand humans very well." The room filled with determined faces. In space, the alien ships entered Earth's orbit, their weapons powered and ready. The next 24 hours would determine the future of humanity, not whether they would survive, but whether they would do so as free equals or controlled subjects. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council on Saldoria was in chaos. The circular room, large enough to hold representatives from 300 species, echoed with angry voices and frightened whispers. High Counselor Skirtix stood in the center, facing criticism from all sides. The blue-skinned Arcturian had never experienced such disorder in the Council. For 15,000 years, the Council had followed the same procedures with new species. No one had ever questioned the system until now. "How could simple humans refuse our protection?" demanded the representative of the Centauri Collective, a short being with 6 eyes. "It is unheard of." "Exactly why we should crush them immediately," said General Vrox of the Arcturian military. "Their defiance sets a dangerous example." From the back of the chamber, an ancient member of the Tellurian consortium rose slowly. The Tellurians were one of the founding species of the Council, with skin like polished stone and eyes that had seen millennia pass. When they spoke, even angry council members fell silent. "Perhaps," said the Tellurian elder in a voice like grinding rocks, "we should ask why no species has ever refused before." Could it be because they were never given a real choice? Murmurs filled the chamber. The elder continued, I have reviewed the reports on humans. They are young, yes, but remarkably adaptive. Their technology has developed faster than any species we have encountered, despite our interference. High Counselor Skirtix shifted uncomfortably. The limitations were for their own good. All young species require guidance. Is it guidance we offer, or control? Asked the elder. For too long, this council has treated new species as resources to be managed, not equals to be welcomed. The chamber erupted again. Half the council members shouted support for immediate military action against Earth. Others called for negotiations. A few suggested simply leaving humans alone to destroy themselves. In a side chamber, Council Intelligence Director M. Silvar displayed disturbing images to a small group of high-ranking officials. The humans have already adapted some of our technology, said the thin, gray being. They are examining pieces from our landing craft, and they have recovered items from previous observation missions. How is that possible? Asked a council member. Their science is primitive. That is what we believed, replied M. Silvar. We were wrong. Our observers report that humans can process and utilize energy in ways none of our species can. They appear to have natural connections to quantum fields that we access only through technology. This news spread quickly through the council. Some members recalled ancient warnings about species with such abilities. Others questioned why such beings would be classified as candidates for protection, rather than studied as potential threats. The political balance that had held the council together for thousands of years began to crack. Species that had been under council control for generations started questioning their own status. Representatives from older protected worlds demanded answers about their continued restrictions. In the midst of this growing crisis, a message arrived from the fleet commander at Earth. Humans have deployed primitive space weapons, the commander reported. They are also broadcasting signals that interfere with our guidance systems. They appear to be preparing to fight rather than surrender. High Counselor Skirtix faced a decision that would change galactic history. The traditional response to defiance was overwhelming force, but never had a species rejected council authority with such confidence. We must maintain order, said General Vrox. Give the command to attack. If we attack without full council authorization, warned the Tellurian elder, we break 15,000 years of law. Skirtix looked around the chamber at the divided council. Species that had cooperated peacefully for millennia now stood at the edge of conflict, all because one young species had dared to say no. The humans have done more than reject our offer, Skirtix realized. They have exposed cracks in our system that have existed for thousands of years. As the council argued, the Arcturian fleet commander near Earth made his own decision. Without waiting for final authorization, he ordered his ships to attack Earth's defenses. The first blast from the Arcturian ships destroyed 3 satellites in Earth's orbit. Bright flashes lit up the night sky as pieces of metal scattered through space. People around the world looked up and knew the war had begun. In the Pentagon Command Center, Admiral Winters received the news with a grim face. So they chose violence after all, she said quietly. Then, louder to her staff, activate all defenses. Launch our orbital platforms. Earth's military response began immediately. Hidden launchers in deserts, mountains, and beneath the oceans fired missiles toward space. Most would never reach the alien ships, but they weren't meant to. The real attack was the strange energy pulses the missiles released as they flew. Pulses based on Catherine Russell's discovery about human brain patterns. On the main Arcturian battleship, Commander Dreklar watched with amusement as primitive Earth weapons approached his fleet. Intercept those missiles, he ordered casually. His crew activated defense screens that had protected Arcturian ships for 1,000 years. But something strange happened. The screens flickered and weakened when the missiles got close, even before they were destroyed. Warning lights flashed across Arcturian control panels. What is happening? Dreklar demanded. The human weapons contain unusual energy signatures, reported an officer. They are disrupting our shield harmonics. The battle continued for 3 days. The aliens destroyed most of Earth's space defenses, but their own ships suffered damage they hadn't expected. 6 smaller Arcturian vessels were disabled by Earth's weapons. When the aliens sent landing parties to several major cities, they met fierce resistance from soldiers using equipment modified with Catherine's discoveries. On the 3rd day, Commander Dreklar lost patience. Enough playing with these primitives, he announced to his fleet. Prepare orbital bombardment of their major population centers. We will show them the cost of defiance. His orders spread across the fleet. 20 Arcturian ships moved into position over Earth's largest cities. At the Pentagon, Catherine and Alan burst into Admiral Winter's office. They're positioning for mass destruction, Catherine said, showing readings from their sensors. Millions will die if they fire. Admiral Winters studied the data, then looked up with determination in her eyes. It's time for the Defiance Plan. She had named the plan after the flagship of Earth's small space fleet, a converted space station now fitted with engines and their most powerful new weapons. Winters had hoped they wouldn't need to use it. The plan might not work, Alan warned. And even if it does, I know the cost, Winters said, cutting him off. But I won't watch our cities burn. Within an hour, Admiral Winters stood on the bridge of the Defiance with a volunteer crew of 300. The massive ship, hidden until now behind the moon, powered up its engines. This is Admiral Winters to all Earth forces, she broadcast. Continue defensive operations. You know what to do if we succeed. And if we don't, it's been an honor serving with you all. The Defiant shot toward the center of the alien fleet at incredible speed. Its hull glowed red from heat as it pushed beyond safe limits. Arcturian ships fired at it, but the strange human-based shields absorbed much of their energy. From Earth, millions watched through telescopes and live video feeds as the human ship drove straight toward the Arcturian command vessel. What are they doing? Commander Dreklar asked as the human ship approached. They cannot hope to ram us successfully. He was right. The Defiance wasn't planning to ram them. As it reached the heart of the alien fleet, Admiral Winters activated Catherine's new weapon, a device that created a localized distortion in space-time, powered by amplified human brain patterns. For Earth, Winters said as she pressed the activation button. A sphere of distorted space expanded from the Defiance, engulfing the ship and the center of the alien fleet. Where 20 ships had been, a strange rippling bubble now hung in space. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the bubble collapsed. The Defiance and 13 Arcturian ships, including the command vessel, were gone. The remaining alien fleet, now leaderless and damaged, scattered in confusion. 1 month after the battle, Earth was still rebuilding. The remaining Arcturian ships had flooded the solar system, but everyone knew they would not be the last aliens humanity would face. The world remained united, preparing for whatever might come next. Memorial services were held globally for Admiral Winters and her crew. Their sacrifice had saved billions of lives. In Washington, D.C., a simple stone monument was erected with the names of everyone aboard the Defiance. John Miller stood before this monument, placing a small flower at its base. He had been named Earth's official diplomat for whatever came next. The weight of this responsibility felt heavier than anything he had carried before. I thought I might find you here, said Catherine Russell, walking up beside him. Her work decoding alien technology had made her famous, but she avoided the spotlight whenever possible. Just paying my respects before we leave, John replied. They stood in silence for a moment, reading the names etched in stone. Do you think they'll actually honor the meeting request? Catherine asked. Before John could answer, their phones buzzed simultaneously. Alan Prescott's message was brief. They're here. Different ships this time. At the rebuilt landing area near the Washington Monument, a new alien ship descended from the clouds. Unlike the aggressive angles of Arcturian vessels, this one was smooth and rounded, glowing with soft blue light. John and Catherine waited as a door opened in the ship's side. 3 aliens emerged, but none were species they had seen before. The one in front had skin like polished stone, a Tellurian elder. "Greetings, people of Earth," the elder said in a deep, rumbling voice. "I am Senior Counselor Xan of the Tellurian Consortium. We come in true peace, not the false peace offered before." John stepped forward. "Earth welcomes you, Senior Counselor. I am John Miller, Earth's diplomatic representative." "We have watched the recent events with great interest," said San. "For too long, the Council has been dominated by those who wish to control rather than connect. Your resistance has changed everything." The elder explained that the Arcturian attack had violated Council law. Their actions, combined with Earth's unexpected defense and Admiral Winter's sacrifice, had shocked the Council into reform. "The old system has fallen," San continued. "Many protected worlds have demanded their freedom. The Council is being rebuilt on principles of equality." Catherine moved forward. "And Earth's status in this new Council. That is why we are here," said Sun, turning to face both humans. "We offer Earth full membership with equal rights and representation. No restrictions, no oversight. True partnership." Joy spread across the crowd gathered behind the security barriers. After weeks of fear and grief, this was more than anyone had hoped for. Later that day, in the Oval Office, world leaders joined virtually as John and Catherine prepared for their new roles. They had been chosen as Earth's first official ambassadors to the reformed Galactic Council. "We'll need to be careful," warned the Secretary General. "Trust must be earned." "Of course," John agreed. "But this is the opportunity Admiral Winters died for, a chance for humanity to join the stars as equals." 2 weeks later, John and Catherine stood in the loading bay of Earth's first true starship, built with a combination of human innovation and the new alien technology freely shared by the Reformed Council. It represented humanity's future. As they prepared to board, they looked up at the ship's name painted proudly on its hull: Winter's Defiance. The Earth they were leaving behind was different now, united in purpose, advancing rapidly with new technology. Orbital construction had begun on massive defense platforms and research stations. Across the planet, children looked up at the stars with hope instead of fear. In distant parts of the galaxy, other subjugated species had begun their own movements for equality, inspired by the humans who had dared to say no to the powerful Galactic Council. As Winter's Defiance lifted off toward the stars, John thought about how much had changed because one small planet had refused to accept second-class status in the universe. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through conquest or submission, but by standing firm on the simple principle that all intelligent beings deserve equal respect.